She loves me, she loves me not. She loves me, she loves me not. She loves me, she loves me not. She loves me. Wait. Today we are here to talk about Netflix's To All the Boys I've Loved Before, Always and Forever. Now this is the third and final film that we know of this consistent trilogy that we've seen over the past couple of years. I think since 2018 is when this started. Despite the second one being not as good as the third, I will say, the third, unlike the second, which follows one of the guys from the letters, kind of goes away from that, and instead of trying to explore all of the men that she sent love letters to and could have potentially ended up with, we do explore Peter Kavinsky and Laura Jean's relationship because of the fact that this is the relationship that they've set up from the first film, and now that it is the final film of the three, we do have to conclude everything that is going to happen to them or could happen to them. Now, we knew eventually that because these two prior films are set in high school, that the third or final film would introduce the sphere of college life. And as it does, it gives us a chance to actually move out of the tropes that high school brings when it's these coming-of-age rom-coms. It presents bigger issues within their relationships, and it for once does actually get us out of the high school, and we get to see how they are in the real world with their families, with independently being in a new place that they have never visited before, and thanks to college, that's all made possible. Now, because of graduation that they go through, we do get the hint that everyone that we've seen from these movies so far gets somewhat of a conclusion or somewhat of an end, even if we don't know fully what that is, or if it is just the bare minimum of what that is. I will say now, since these are really modern specific films, they do show high school in the best positive light I think possible, and they also show now in this film what the real world is like too, and how those are different from your high school experiences and your high school friendships and the jobs that you may have in high school. And, it's like going through another change in your life because you have to, but the film transitions in a way that it's so smooth that even though it was inevitable, it seems brand new, it seems fresh, it seems like, oh, well, maybe they could have just skipped this part of their lives somehow, or that it wouldn't be an infringement on their relationship, because you want them to succeed. You want Peter Kavinsky and Lauren Jean to end up together. At least I did in 1 and 3, maybe not in the second film. The second film actually really bothered me and has the most problems, I think, but the third definitely does have to agree on these things, and that doesn't mean the characters have to, but they do have to solve each and every one of their problems that they've had since the beginning. And since they're always trying to find their beginning, middle, and end, which is a recurring theme in this film, it's very important that they do, because if not, then it leads into open territory for a fourth film, and it just kind of seems like a cop-out if they don't figure out all of their problems, which I will say they do. Now, I don't remember the first film as much, seeing as I saw it in 2018, but the second I watched for the first time right before the third came out. And I will say the third to me is the most serious film. Yes, these movies are relatable. Yes, they do make every character likable, even the villainous ones. And I just think that because it explores these tropes and just surrounds them, the characters surround themselves with them, that shouldn't be a fault of the movie itself. Like, that's why I don't consider it as a negative, because it sets it up from the beginning. It holds your hand throughout the entire trilogy. If it skipped around and kind of was not that way from the start, then I can see that being a nitpick. But it's one of the ones that I think does probably follow the novel and pays homage to very well, even though I haven't read them, other than just, we're going to do this and change it up completely because it's more modern, or what we think is like high school now. So I will say I do appreciate the aspect of that more, even though it's not my favorite or my go-to of genres or of high school movies to go to. These movies are also about finding yourself along the way and finding those relationships that do make you better or do make you worse, hopefully not in the worst way, but in a way that helps you become you and hopefully become you with another person, and the right person. And that is exactly what these films set out to do. You needed 5 letters to get there, and not even really 5 boys, because they don't go through all of them, but they explore one of them and see if the puzzle fits, and sometimes it doesn't and sometimes it does. But by the end of the film, and I will not spoil what happens, you do find out whether or not they stay together or they break up, and that is because of the whole college atmosphere that they are now having to try and breathe around. So, with that being said, I was very surprised by this trilogy as well. I know I may not be the main target audience for these films, but I thoroughly had a good time with them, and I took it for what it was, so that's why I don't have really any nitpicks, just because they do conclude everything that they've set up from the first film. Again, it is more focused on Lara Jean and Peter Kavinsky's relationship, but you also have both their families and what they're going through, and it really wraps up nicely, and it's one of the better romantic trilogies or romance films I've seen in a while. So with that being said, I'm going to give my rating now. I will also say that I did not like the ending of this film. It does what it wants, and I think that's what the goal was from the beginning. And again, I haven't read the novel, so I don't know. But for me, again, I'm not used to these types of films. Like, I always watch them when I can, but I'm not the target audience. So for me, I loved the entire series. I just didn't necessarily love the ending. But I still love the characters and everything that they represent and what they are now, and who they are now. So with that being said, I was going to give the film a 50, which seems low, but I am going to be knocking it down a little bit and give it a 45%, seeing this is the first one I'm reviewing on this channel. Please don't take that into consideration on how I feel on the other two. Do definitely go watch the other two before you watch the third. And on Letterboxd, I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. So with that being said, definitely do check out this series. It's pretty popular, and I can see why. It is the most modern love tale of a younger age generation that I can think of currently, that isn't too adult but explores adult themes in a way where everyone can relate and understand and go through them one day as well. So with that being said, and still works, by the way, in a college setting. So I will say, if they do a 4th one, they definitely can. We'll just see what happens. But knowing Netflix, they probably will. So thank you guys for watching. This is my review for To All the Boys I've Loved Before, Always, and Forever. Almost forgot the title there for a little bit, but got through it, and I will see you guys in the next video.